The Assembly is now in session. Assemblymember Ting notices the absence of a quorum. The sergeants at arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Canson Chu, Cooley, Cooper, DeBobne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Cristina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurmond, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
Colleagues, a quorum is present. I'd like to ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand up for today's prayer. Our prayer today will be offered by our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papademos. Father Papademos.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Lord, you would like us to forgive others not just once, but even 70 times 7. That's easy to say, but harder to do. Yet when we remember that forgiving is not the same as forgetting, it makes it easier to forgive others. All we need to do is to move from agitated feelings toward other people to truly peaceful feelings. We know we have forgiven someone when we only want good things to happen for someone who has harmed us. Lord, during this holy time of the year, fill our hearts with a spirit of forgiveness toward others, making us doers of your will. Amen.
I'd like to ask our guests and visitors to please remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Chavez as he leads us in the pledge.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, February 18, 2015. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Jim Frazier, Assembly Member, 11th District presiding.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Olson seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Let's move on to presentations of petitions. There are none. Introductions and references of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees, there are none. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Members, we're now at motions and resolutions. The absences for the day for legislative business, Assembly Members Medina and Quirk. For personal business, Assembly Member Asajian. Moving to procedural motions, Mr. Holden, you're recognized for your motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 to allow Speaker Atkins and Assembly Members DeBobne, Irwin, Gonzalez, and Levine to have guests and photographers on the floor today.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly Members Brown and Steinorth to speak on adjourned in memory today.
Without objection, that request is granted as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, let's move to guest introductions. We have a number of guests today. First, we have a number of special guests joining us at the rear of the chamber. On behalf of Speaker Atkins, I would like to welcome back to the Assembly the Honorable Iwa Hori, a member of the National Diet of Japan and the head of the Secretariat of the Japan-California Parliamentary Friendship League, as well as the Honorable Masato Watanabe, the Consul General of Japan, who's located in my home city in San Francisco. Mr. Hori has returned to Sacramento with the Consul General to continue to fulfill the mission of the Japan-California Parliamentary Friendship League, which reaffirms and strengthens the friendly relationship between Japan and our state of California through political and educational exchange. I also want to take a moment and please welcome back former Assembly Member Mariko Yamada, who is here with us today. Colleagues, if you could please join us in welcoming back our distinguished guests. Colleagues, if we could please proceed to our next guest introductions. We have another former colleague with us on the floor today. Colleagues, if we could please welcome back former Assembly Member Stephen Bradford, who's with us, and with him today with Assemblymember Bradford is Dr. Fernando Guerra and students from Loyola Marymount University who are in the gallery. We want to welcome all of them today. Why don't we move on to other guest introductions? Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized at Mr. Dababneh's desk.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the work of advancing women executives along with Assemblymember Dababneh. Many of us are familiar with women executives like Sheryl Sandberg, Marissa Mayer, and Meg Whitman. These women should be commended for their hard work to make it to the top, but these women are an exception. Female representation on corporate boards and senior management in California does not reflect our population. In 2012, the number of women in senior management was 17%, and the number of women on corporate public boards was 14%. Advancing Women Executives was founded to address this disparity. Advancing Women Executives helps women break through the glass ceiling by taking a key strength of women, the ability to build strong relationships, and providing them with a forum of regular gatherings and personalized services to help them expand their professional network. I would like to thank them for coming to Sacramento today and for all the work that they do.
Mr. Dababneh, you're recognized at your desk.
Mr. Speaker, following the remarks of my colleague and neighbor from Thousand Oaks, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize two members of Advancing Women Executives, Maiko Takayama and Danielle Moline. The incredible work that Advancing Women Executives accomplished throughout the state is a result of the amazing work that their executive team has been able to do promoting this group. Danielle Moline is a former intern of mine in Congressman Brad Sherman's office, so I have a special connection to her and her work, and I'm very proud of what she's doing. And due to the hard work of these women, Advancing Women Executives has partnered with executives from over 100 Fortune 500 companies, including Google, Disney, Oracle, Bank of America, and American Express. We thank Mrs. Takayama and Mrs. Moline for coming to Sacramento for their tireless efforts to increase the number of women in senior management positions in our community and across our state. And if anyone would like to meet them in the back, I'll be going back there right now. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Let's go to our next guest introduction, which will be Mr. Levine. Mr. Levine, you're recognized for your guest introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It is my pleasure to welcome members of the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District to the Assembly chambers today. The district is the caretaker of one of our state's most visible and iconic landmarks, the Golden Gate Bridge. Each year they welcome an estimated 10 million visitors to the bridge and an estimated 40 million vehicles cross the bridge. Please join me in welcoming the following members of the district to the Capitol: Dick Grosboll, President of the Board of Directors; Janet Riley, Director; Gerald Cochran, Director; Dennis Mulligan, General Manager; and Emeret Ko Wong, Secretary of the district. Thank you in joining me to welcome them today.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Let's go to our next guest introduction, Mr. O'Donnell.
Members, it's my honor today to introduce a great one. I have to my right former Assembly Member Bonnie Lowenthal, a great friend to me and a great friend to the state of California. Bonnie is a fine person and has represented the city of Long Beach for many years. She was on the school board for a number of years. She served with me on city council, and then she moved on to the state assembly. Bonnie, again, is a great friend and a great woman. Give her one more round of applause. Our friend, Bonnie Lowenthal.
Our next guest introduction will be provided by Assemblymember Wagner. Mr. Wagner, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce a friend of mine, Professor Keith Curry, and his students from Concordia University in Irvine, the town I've lived in for almost 25 years now. Professor Curry and the students are more or less right above me. And they've come up here several years in a row. Professor Curry's led this delegation, teaching the students about the inner workings of government. So let's welcome them to the Assembly Chamber. Thank you all.
I'd also like to recognize Mr. Harper at his desk.
Sharing the city of Irvine, I'd also like to welcome our students from Concordia University. Welcome to the California State Legislature's Assembly floor.
Thank you, Mr. Harper. Our final guest introduction of the day will be by Assemblymember Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, you're recognized at your desk.
Members, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. James Collins. He has served as a head athletic trainer for the San Diego Chargers for the last 15 years. He's here today with his colleagues from the California Athletic Trainers Association, and I just wanted to make sure that my colleague in front of me heard the San Diego Chargers, not the Carson Chargers. Please join me in giving James a very warm welcome.
Thank you, colleagues. That concludes our guest introductions for the day. Why don't we move now to our business on the daily file. File item 1, ACR 19 by Assemblymember Lowe. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 19 by Assemblymember Lowe and others relative to Lunar New Year celebration.
Assemblymember Lowe, you may open on the measure.
Mr. Speaker and members, on behalf of the Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, I would like to wish everyone a healthy and prosperous Lunar New Year. This Lunar New Year fell on February 19th, and this year, as you all well know, is the year of the sheep. The celebration of the Lunar New Year illustrates the state's rich cultural diversity. Please join me, the Asia Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, over 5.5 million Californians, celebrating the Year of the Sheep. With that, I ask for your aye vote and request the roll be open for co-authors.
Seeing and hearing no further debate,
Mr. Jones Sawyer, just put his mic down.
Mr. Jones Sawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the California Legislative Black Caucus, we stand in strong support with our API brothers and sisters of ACR 19. Many CLBC members have had the pleasure of participating in many Asian American and Pacific Islander cultural events, and we are delighted at the opportunity to recognize the Lunar New Year with the whole California community through this resolution. Not only is the Lunar New Year a time to renew family ties, it is also a time for new goals for an illustrious new year. Since we have recently started off the new legislative session, we should take this holiday as a way to renew our own ties between members and to renew our commitment to serving the public. I call for your support of ACR 19 to join our community in celebrating the new year.
Assemblymember Kim, you're recognized at your desk.
Great. Mr. Speaker and members, I also rise in support of ACR 19 as a member of the very proud API caucus. Throughout the weekend, I also participated in many Lunar New Year celebrations throughout my district, which is one of the most vibrant and diverse district in probably in the entire state of California. So I just wanted to share with you this year, whether this is a year of the sheep, goat, or ram, depending on who you're speaking to, you would be a little bit confused, but this is the year of the ram. And I've spent my weekend participating in Tet Parade and Festival with the Vietnamese community, to enjoying the line dances in the Chinese community. And in my own community, thankfully, we celebrated Lunar New Year, but we did it in my way, celebrating the Korean American Day resolution that was also unanimously adopted by the Senate. So we had over 2,000 people attending orchestra combined with the Korean fantasy with the, Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 concert. So we celebrate big time, and I wish many of you will continue to celebrate the Lunar New Year because it is continuing for about 2 weeks. So I ask my colleagues to also support ACR 19. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, you're recognized at your desk.
Members, Mr. Speaker, I proudly stand on behalf of the Women's Caucus in strong support of ACR 19, recognizing the Lunar New Year. My district, the great AD 58, includes Cerritos, which embraces a large Asian population and helps bring diversity to my district and the state of California. As we all move into the new year of the ram, the sheep, or the goat, let us celebrate the contributions of all Asian Americans. Gung Hai Fat Choi.
Thank you. Assemblymember Eggman, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand on behalf, as the chair of the LGBT caucus, to urge a strong support for ACR 19. California, as everyone knows, is the home of many API people who have been here since California became a state. Arguably, California would have struggled to provide a lot of the infrastructure in the early days when the gold rush was going on. We really depended a lot on the immigrant communities from China coming in to do a lot of the work that others didn't want to do. In my own community, we have over 20% API constituency, and it has certainly added to the beautiful mosaic that you see all around the state of California. And just to take it down to a personal level, those of us in Northern California do a whole lot of crab feeds every single year. And the best one every year is the one at St. Mark's Methodist Church, which is the home. It's nestled in Chinatown in Stockton, but because older Chinese communities, oftentimes settled in downtown areas. There's been a huge mix and intermingling with the LGBT community. So one of my favorite crab feeds of the year, where we actually have warm crab and dipping sauces. It is a mix of old Chinese Americans as well as LGBT community coming together to celebrate in unity. And to me, that's what this day means, is just ways that we continue to find common ground where we come together, break bread, and celebrate what is good about California. I stand in strong support of ACR 19.
Assemblymember Kansan-Chu, you're recognized.
Thank you, Speaker and member of the Assembly. I rise on behalf of more than 150,000 residents who celebrate the New Year's, or in Vietnamese they call it Tet Festival, to wish you all a very happy, prosperous New Year and a healthy New Year, and don't get the bug what I got just recently. And 恭喜发财，秋梦南摩。
Assemblymember Allen, you're recognized at your desk.
Today I rise to recognize the Tet Festival and the New Year. I represent Assembly District 72, home to the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. It was a pleasure to be in the Tet Parade on Saturday. This is an absolutely huge event for our Vietnamese constituents, not only here in California, but all over the entire world. So in recognition of Tet, Chuk Mang Nam Ai.
And Assemblymember Alejo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. On behalf of my Latino caucus colleagues, we stand in strong support of ACR 19 to join many in the API community in celebration of the Lunar New Year. These cultural celebrations are a testament to the strength of California's rich cultural and ethnic diversity. Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and many other API communities hold huge cultural events throughout the state to celebrate the Lunar New Year. These communities have always shared their traditions with the general public as a way to include others in their cultural heritage. I am proud to take part in supporting ACR 19 in the Assembly and ask that we all join in celebrating this new year. Muchas gracias al asambleísta Evan Lowe y como decimos en español, feliz año nuevo.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Assemblymember Lowe, would you wish to close?
Members, thank you very much, and please join me in celebrating the Lunar New Year in support of ACR 19.
Thank you, colleagues. Assemblymember Lowe has asked for the first roll to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll at this time for co-authors. Can you tell her?
73 co-authors or 74, whenever you close it.
The clerk will call the roll. There are 74 co-authors that have been added. Without objection, we'll take a voice vote on this measure. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Assemblymember Chang, you are recognized for your announcement.
Mr. Speaker, permission to use props.
Permission granted.
Members, on your desks, there are celebratory items in celebration of the Lunar New Year. There's a red sheet explaining the 12 different animal signs representing the different years on the lunar calendar, and I myself am a dragon. And from there, I'm sure you can figure out what year I was born. Tangerines are extremely symbolic in Asian cultures. The round shape of tangerine signifies family unity, and its golden color represents wealth. So on your desks, tangerine. Children and unmarried adults are also given red envelopes containing money for good luck. The symbolic meaning is to wish for good fortune and wealth in a new year. However, some folks may argue that married adults should also get red envelopes, as they may need as much luck, if not more luck, than others. The color red represents good luck, vitality, and joy, and the red envelopes provided to you are imprinted with Chinese characters with the message of good luck and fortune, and inside you'll find some candy in lieu of money. And lastly, we have a keepsake for the new year in this frame design of the sheep/ram/goat character. And on behalf of the Asian and Pacific Islander American membership and the joint API Legislative Caucus, I wish everyone a Happy New Year. And I'd also like to thank the chair of the API Caucus, Doss Williams, for giving me this opportunity to present on behalf of the caucus. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also have one final announcement. I want to acknowledge former Assemblymember Lloyd Connolly, who served in this body from 1982 to 1992, who is with us on the floor today. I'd like to welcome him. At this time, we're going to move to our announcements and adjournments in memory. A number of members were granted permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. I'd first like to recognize Assemblymember Brown at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could have your attention. I rise to adjourn in the memory of Mr. Leno Diaz, who passed away on February the 10th this year. He was a true icon who lived the American dream. His family moved to the United States when Leno was only 6 years old. He lived in Texas and California during his formidable years. He served in the U.S. Army Corps from November 22nd, 1942 to 1945, November. He was an electrical specialist who achieved the rank of sergeant during World War II. He was in the China, Burma, India theater. He became a naturalized citizen during his tour of duty. Leno utilized his GI Bill, earned a bachelor's degree, and earned a master's degree in bilingual education. He was a teacher and an administrator at the San Bernardino Unified School District. He excelled as an educator, but one of the things that he did was to persuade many families in the West Side community to purchase sets of encyclopedias for their children. He was involved in civil rights and social justice movements for over 40 years. He was politically active and was in voter registration drive with Cesar Chavez and others. He was instrumental in founding numerous organizations in San Bernardino. And as an officer of the Association of Mexican American Educators, he started a tutoring and counseling program. He always had an artistic eye, and his artwork was displayed in art exhibits in San Bernardino and in San Antonio, Texas. He was a devoted husband who was dedicated to his wife for 65 years. Most important to me is later in life he became her caregiver. As she struggled with her health, he took care of her, and she is still alive today. He was a proud father, a beloved brother, an uncle, and a true friend. He's survived by his wife, Lisa, 2 children, 2 grandchildren. I ask that you adjourn in his memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Brown. I'd like to recognize Assemblymember Steinorth for your adjourn in memory today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise to honor the life of Mr. Larry Sharp, who passed away this Monday at the age of 72. Larry was devoted to the community of Inland Empire throughout his whole life, both personally and professionally. In 1982, Larry became the CEO of Arrowhead Credit Union in San Bernardino, where he served with distinction for 27 years. He was renowned throughout his tenure for his personal integrity and tireless engagement with the Inland Empire community. For example, he helped co-found the Alliance for Education to encourage STEM education in San Bernardino County. He also served as a board member for the Loma Linda Children's University Hospital Foundation and was named Vice President of University Advancement at Cal State University San Bernardino. His achievements were commended through numerous awards, including the Inland Empire Hispanic Leadership Council's Champion Award, as well as the Leo H. Shapiro Lifetime Achievement Award from the California Credit Union League. I offer my condolences to his family and friends of Mr. Sharp, as well as the Inland Empire community, while his presence will be deeply missed. Members, I respectfully ask that we adjourn in memory of Larry H. Sharp.
Members, please bring all names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory today will be deemed read and printed in the journal. We have a number of announcements for today. First, members are reminded that the deadline to file your annual Statement of Economic Interests, our Form 700s, is Monday, March the 2nd, 2015. The form has to be filed with the Chief Clerk by 5 p.m. This Friday, February the 27th, is the last day to introduce bills. The Rules Committee is meeting after this adjournment in the Rules Committee room today, And the session schedule for this week is as follows. Tuesday, February the 24th, there's a check-in session. Wednesday, February the 25th, check-in session. Thursday, February the 26th, there is a 9 a.m. floor session. I'd like to recognize Assemblymember Brown. For what reason do you rise?
I rise. Larry Sharp was a member of our community, and I really needed to just let you know, adding on to Mr. Stein, to my colleague from the 48th, okay, from the 48th. I would just like to add on just a small tidbit. First of all, this man was amazing. He was amazing as a father, as a grandfather, as a husband. He was amazing as a community leader. He was known in our community as a doer. And anybody that's basically lived in the area has heard of Larry Sharp, not only as you went to the credit union to do what you do with credit unions, but in the community. He had a heart for our city of San Bernardino. He worked tirelessly in the community to make our community a better place. And as they're going through all of the bankruptcies and everything else, he's right there to see what he could do to make that happen. His funeral was so big that they had to hold it at the National Orange Show. His service yesterday was so wonderful that community leaders from every community representing a diverse community came out to give condolences to him and his family. I just want you to know that we must close in memory of Larry Sharp. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, all other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Olson seconds that this House stand adjourned until Thursday, February the 26th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.